They mocked a little girl selling lemonade for her brother's surgery. Then Hell's Angels rode in. The sun beat down mercilessly on the cracked sidewalk of Maple Street, and little hands clutched a fading cardboard sign. Lemonade $1. Help Tommy's surgery. Emma, just 8 years old, set up her tiny table, the lemonade sloshing in the paper cups with every nervous step. Her brother Tommy had been sick for months, and their mom's tired eyes told her every day that the surgery bills were piling too high. Emma's heart ached for him, and today she had decided to do something brave. At first, it seemed hopeless. People walked by, too busy, too preoccupied, too cold. Then came the mocking laughter. "Is that all?" sneered a group of teens pointing at her meager table. What's she buying, a soda for her imaginary brother? Emma felt heat rise to her cheeks. Her hands shook, and for a moment she thought about running home, about giving up. But then she looked at the photo of Tommy taped to the front of the table, the one where he smiled with the messy remnants of ice cream on his cheek. She squared her shoulders. "No, I can't give up." Hours passed. Coins clinked occasionally in the jar, but it wasn't enough. Emma sighed, wiping a streak of sweat from her forehead. That's when the roar of engines shook the street. Heads turned, and a line of black motorcycles pulled up. Leather jackets, chrome, and the unmistakable emblem of the Hell's Angels glinting in the sun. People stepped back, wary. Emma's stomach nodded. "Hey, little lady," a deep, gravelly voice called from the lead biker. He had kind eyes despite the intimidating tattoos. "Need a hand?" Emma blinked. I'm raising money for my brother's surgery, but it's not enough." The biker nodded once, then his crew swung into action. They didn't just buy lemonade, they bought the whole stand. They shared Emma's story across their network, talked to friends, neighbors, anyone who would listen. Within minutes, the donations poured in. People Emma had never seen in their neighborhood stopped by, inspired by her courage and touched by her love for her brother. By the end of the day, Emma's small cardboard jar, which had felt almost empty, was overflowing. She counted the money, tears stinging her eyes. We can pay for the surgery," she whispered. One of the bikers knelt down beside her. "You did all the hard work, kid. We just made sure the world knew how brave you are." Emma hugged him tightly, feeling the warmth of unexpected kindness. And as the engines faded down the street, she realized something important. Even in a world that can be cruel and mocking, there are people willing to step in and lift others up, sometimes from the places you least expect. Tommy's surgery went smoothly, and he recovered stronger than ever. Emma never forgot the day the Hell's Angels rode in. It wasn't just the money. They had reminded her that courage, love, and selflessness can move mountains. And sometimes the world responds with kindness when you need it most. After Tommy's surgery, life didn't just go back to normal. It changed in ways Emma and her family could never have imagined. Neighbors who had once walked past without a glance now waved warmly, stopping to ask how Tommy was feeling. Emma's small act of courage had sparked something bigger than lemonade. It had reminded the community that even the tiniest voices can make a difference. One rainy afternoon, Emma sat on the porch with Tommy, sipping hot cocoa. "You know," she said quietly, "I thought nobody would care." Tommy looked at her, his big brown eyes filled with gratitude. "You were the one who cared the most. That's why everyone else stepped up." Emma smiled, but her thoughts drifted back to the Hell's Angels, those towering figures who had roared down the street like knights in leather armor. It was strange to think that people who seemed so scary could have hearts so big. One of them had even given her a small charm, a tiny silver motorcycle, saying, "So you always remember, courage rides with you." Weeks later, the story of Emma's lemonade stand and the biker gang's surprising kindness went viral. People from across the country sent letters, donations, and messages of encouragement. Schools invited Emma to speak about courage and empathy. Local businesses offered scholarships for both her and Tommy. The little girl who had once been mocked became a symbol of hope and determination. But Emma never let the fame change her. She still set up her lemonade stand on hot summer afternoons, this time with a new sign, helping families in need. And every time a passerby laughed or hesitated, she remembered the lesson the bikers had taught her, that sometimes the world's roughest-looking people can be the kindest. And even small acts of love can ripple farther than anyone imagines. One evening, Emma and her family walked to the park to watch the sunset. Tommy ran ahead, laughing, chasing a soccer ball while Emma held her mother's hand. She felt a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the sun. It was the warmth of knowing that courage, selflessness, and kindness, no matter how small, could change lives. And as the motorcycles of Hell's Angels occasionally passed through town in the weeks afterward, Emma would wave with a grin, remembering the day when strangers became heroes, and a little lemonade stand proved that even the smallest hearts can inspire the biggest changes.